Wrestler Academy! Well, hello there, baby. From one to America. How free are you tonight?
And that's how you do freedom riz, baby. Oh, that's enough Skibbity Ohio riz for today. Oh my god, what happened to my face? What is this? Where did this come from? Why do I... Okay. Oh...
Well, good evening, laddies, lasses, and lazos. Welcome to the click. You smell Rizzalicious today, and don't let anyone else tell you otherwise. Today we're doing something incredibly beautiful, something we did briefly in the past, but I wanted to revisit. It is r/tAmericansSay, which is absolutely beautiful. It's kind of like confidently incorrect, but with a very specific Americanized spice. So I do hope you enjoy it as much as I do, and let's get right into it. Baby, enjoy. Mwah.
Oh, my third Sigma eye could spot all of the riz. It was short-lived.
Europeans don't drink water. If you're from America and have ever visited any country, including France, Italy, or Spain, water is nearly impossible to find. Americans are used to free water at literally any restaurant or establishment we go to, but in Europe, you almost always get charged. As a result,
what's with the horror music?
About the lack of water available in these countries and how dangerous it can be. With some people joking saying they only drink beer and olive oil, and others saying they act like we're in the medieval times.
Wait, they drink beer and olive oil? Okay, I have been to at least a couple of different countries in my days. I don't think even when I go to Italy, right, you know those Italians, right? Even when I go to Italy, I don't think I've ever seen one just casually sitting in a restaurant and chugging a bottle of olive oil. Is this the modern TikTok equivalent of, like, documentaries? Is this what we have instead of documentaries? ADHD texts with, like, just misinformation and be like, oh my god, this one 17-year-old girl said on TikTok once that she couldn't find water when she was traveling, so there's no water in Europe. Oh my god, it's so dangerous, y'all. They just drink olive oil and coffee. Oh, what in the actual do people actually believe this? Do people believe this and be like, yeah,
this is my source material. #TikTok. I just realized how funny it is when they're like, Europeans don't drink water, and I literally have a pint full of water next to me when I record my videos. It's like, bruh. What do you mean? Knife murders per 1 million of population. So you see, this is like a per capita number, sort of. It's like density of how often something happens per population. Very important to read sometimes.
Population is a lot larger in the US as well, which makes their chart pretty invalid.
You see, reading comprehension is important. You couldn't even read one sentence! It's one sentence!
Isn't that absolutely beautiful? Anyway, next meme, please. Fanta Orange in the US versus the UK. UK Fanta gets its color from carrots, pumpkins, and orange fruit, while in the US version gets it from dyes, red 40 and yellow 6. Also, about 3 times as much sugar in the US version versus the UK version. Is this true? Is this actually... This seems wild. In the US, Fanta has high fructose corn syrup, while the UK version has sugar. Also, there's no orange juice in the American Fanta. Gotta love America.
Wait, is this actually true? I need to Google this. Is this true? Does US Fanta have more sugar than in Europe?
After all, how many times have you heard Europeans say American foods and beverages are too sweet? In their defense, American Fanta has 73 grams of sugar in 20-liter bottle, whereas Italian Fanta has 59 grams and UK Fanta has 22 grams. Oh my god! Is it actually true? They say 20-liter bottle though. What is the source? Hold on, what? Here's another one saying like, Fanta isn't consistent across Europe, ranges from less than 5% OJ in Finland, 5% in the UK, 6% in Sweden. Okay, so it's really inconsistent. It seems like Fanta stats is like a rabbit hole. Oh my god.
In the US, if we buy a soda, it's because we don't care about the artificial crap. If we want natural stuff, we'll buy that. You see, we have the freedom to choose what we want and what we feel is best for us, not what the government feels is best for us.
This isn't the message you think it is.
Hey, this soda has more sugar and crap in it than the alternatives abroad.
Actually, if we wanted to eat healthy, we would just buy the healthy alternative that doesn't
exist in other countries for some reason. What sort of clapback is this? 306 likes.
Well, most of it is laughing emojis. I'm assuming that's a bit of a ratio in the Facebook world. In Germany, a driver's license costs over $2,000 after a minimum of 24 to 45 hours of professional instructions plus 12 hours of theory. I mean, this seems pretty reasonable. Driver's licenses are pretty expensive here as well. You need to take like the theory tests and like a decent amount of practice driving, both with professionals and privately, optimally speaking, or like an intensive course during the summer and stuff. But it does cost a decent chunk of money. I would say usually it probably costs more than $2,000 if you count all the test fees and like the professional lessons and the classes you have to attend and that sort of thing. It's relatively pricey to get a license.
That's the cost of living in a socialist country. You don't know what any of these words mean, do you? God damn.
Wow, greedy government in Germany. I wonder how much registration costs each year or the cost of a liter of petrol. I mean, you could also, like, Google it. I suppose that'll be easy instead of conspiring in TikTok comments, but 363 people were like, this is accurate, this is the conspiracy I want to subscribe to.
Y'all have to take classes. Do y'all parents not do anything for y'all? Do y'all not pay attention and learn by yourself?
What do you mean pay attention? You sit on the sidewalk and watch cars go by and be like, damn, now I know how to drive.
Just get in the damn car and drive it. It's not that hard. We put kids in the driver's seat
and let them drive to learn. Okay, fair enough. I started practice driving when I was like 16 or whatever. That's sort of like a kid, I guess, but just get in the car and drive. Oh my god. This is the flex you think it is. It's like, damn, we literally put kids in cars and just let them go nuts. That doesn't sound very safe, I'm gonna be honest. Then I'd rather have a system that's a bit more pricey, but I'm less likely to get hit in traffic by someone who doesn't know how to drive versus whatever this is. This is not the brag you think it is. This sounds insane.
I gotta pay for that free healthcare somehow, right?
What do you mean? How is this connected? In the least. It's driving lessons. You're paying for like a driving instructor and what are you talking about? Good job, Britain. You guys voted red. Now it's America's turn.
Red in the US is not the same as red in Europe. Yeah, that's kind of a wild thing. I was so confused when I was younger and saw that for the first time. I was like, why are they wearing ties with those colors? That don't add up. Is everyone colorblind except me? And then I realized I was the colorblind one. But I was still correct about the confusion about the colors.
I am Italian and like SpaghettiOs. I guess my ancestors are not happy. Laughing emojis.
There is no SpaghettiOs in Italy. You're just American.
I don't understand mainland Italians saying we're not Italian.
Mainland Italians? It sounds like when pirates are talking about land crabs and stuff.
Do they pretend we can just delete our ancestry? For the record, my last Italian ancestor was from 1903. I can still consider myself pretty fucking Italian.
So you have this person who actually lives in Italy being like, yeah, we don't have this thing in Italy. And then you go off about like 100 years ago, you had a relative that was Italian, and therefore they cannot tell you that a food doesn't exist in Italy, and then you call them like mainland Italians, which, I don't know, it sounds so weird. It sounds so patronizing, doesn't it? You mainland Italians, you're not the real Italians. What? Them. I love the British accent. Me. Oh, select your character.
Oh, cute. Your accents have so little drift that even to a layman's ear...
What do you deem like layman in terms of like English accents anyway?
Even to a layman's ear, they all sound like the same language.
I mean, it is the same language, I suppose, but the dialects can vary quite a bit.
Come to America, where our dialects are so different, some count as a completely different language. What do you mean?
Ah, gee, I speak with a southern accent. That is a new language all of a sudden. Oh my god, I'm like octolingual because I can speak like this, I can speak like this, and I can speak like this. There's so many languages. Wow. These people don't actually know what words mean, right? Like, you can have an accent without speaking like a literally different language. I mean, the same thing is true in Sweden. We have a crap load of different accents and they sound vastly different, but it doesn't mean that it's like literally a different language. You might have different slang words in certain regions and stuff, but it's not like a completely different language. That's not really how it works. European colonial history in 6 words. Is that yours? It's mine now.
Americans would never do this. We save nations, not destroy them. Flexing emoji.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, indeed. The wholesome vibes. Ooh, goody. The city center of Siena, Italy, population 30k, is roughly the size of this highway interchange in Houston, Texas, population 0. Oh my god, that is insane. How huge is this intersection? You know, I'm starting to understand more and more why, for example, everyday tips about moving or walking or biking simply doesn't translate in the US. I remember at one point I was talking to a couple of my American friends, and I was like, yeah, one way I was saving money as a student and also staying in decent shape was just getting a bike. So I got rid of my bus ticket and bought a bike instead, and within like a year I have saved up the money that I used to buy the bike, and the next couple of years I was basically just saving more money as a student. It was really nice, and I got free exercise because it took me like, I don't know, like 25 minutes to bike to uni back in those days, something like that. And my American friends were like, yeah, if I were to bike to work, it would take me 5 hours. I was like, what? But I get it now. I get it. My condolences.
I would rather live like a human in Houston than in Italy cramped in like insects.
What do you mean? Okay, instead of living in a cozy city core in like an old town, you would want just an intersection with 0 population the size of the whole city. I swear to God, man. What do you mean? What do you... Oh my God. Man, that is some like indoctrination coping if I've ever seen one. If you don't have intersections the size of cities, then you're living cramped like insects. Or you can just have walkable cities, fam. That's pretty nice. What? Norwegian flag gets taken down in US town after being confused for Confederate band. Oh no, not the Norwegians. They are coming for all of us. This reminds me so much of that Twitter argument I saw a while ago when someone went on a huge rant about like the Norwegian You know, in Sweden it's like a circle with 2 dots above it, but in Norway it's a circle with like a dash through it, right? It's pronounced essentially. You can have it in the name Björn, for example. That's a pretty common thing. But this person on Twitter went off how it's like a white supremacist symbol, and it's like it's just a letter in a different language, man. It's what are you talking about? Those darn Norwegians, they're hiding something. Why would they make their flag to look like the Confederate flag? And why would they make you can't spell white supremacy without You see? I'm on to you, darn Norwegians.
At the airport, America will be lost to the immigrants thanks to Biden and Kamala.
That is censored for some reason.
Norway, here I come.
Be careful. Norway is the capital of Confederacy, but also the irony in this post is a bit staggering, isn't it? Oh my God, all the immigrants coming to this country, this Kustang, let me be an immigrant in another country. You realize that, right? You realize what the word immigrant actually means, don't you? No? I don't think you do. Why do Brits speak English, an American language, rather than speaking some European language? Yeah, indeed, God, why do people in England speak English? It's American, God, and they don't even call it the right language, it's called American. Silly Englishmen. I love that the airport in Rome considers us a third world nation. Automated border control for USA and all other third countries nation. That's more like, you know, if you're just not in Italy or whatever. Oh my God, man. J.K. Rowling has deleted 27 tweets since being named in a lawsuit brought by Olympic women's boxing gold medalist Emaine Khalif. Rowling has also not tweeted in 13 days. Honestly, good thing, I'm gonna be honest. Some people really need to learn that if you frick around, eventually you will probably find out, and for good reason. I mean, this whole thing was so ridiculous. Everyone went down this like rabbit hole of transvestigation, and it was so ridiculous and just creating these huge harassment and misinformation campaigns around it for whatever reason. And like the person isn't even trans, but even if they were, it is still nuts. Like imagine if they actually are trans, and these people's solution is like, oh, let's create these hate mobs. And like create a super dangerous and hateful situation. Like even if they were correct, it would still be a ridiculously heinous thing to do. These people they have lost like common sense when it comes to like how to do anything in life, I swear to God.
She's not even American. How the frick is she suing? International court?
You mean suing J.K. Rowling or whatever? The American. None of these people are American. What are you talking about?
Oh my God.
There are courts in other countries? Wow. I never knew that. What country do you absolutely recommend avoiding in Europe during the summer? All of Europe. Too dangerous with all the riots, floods, earthquakes, typhoons, rebellions, thieves and scammers. Also dangerous foods without EPA labels and traffic is just suicide. Really, it is too dangerous. Stay in the US. Riots, rebellions, earthquakes. Just everything at the same time. Constantly. Everywhere. You're making it sound like the Civil War in Skyrim or something. Wow. Also dangerous foods without EPA. I guess they mean those Fanta bottles that don't have enough sugar in them. That is really dangerous.
Is nobody noticing the dates as September of this year?
It's actually 9th of January, 2024. 09/01/2024.
Baby, that's not how you write a date.
Oh my god! I never understood that. It's like, oh my god, it's like freedom units. But like, it's infected dates as well. You go from smallest to biggest. It makes sense. Like, just moving it around. Oh my god. Oh my god. I guess that sorting of date originally comes from saying, like, you know, July the 4th. 2020, and you know, and that's why it's like, oh, month first, then day, or something like that. Maybe that's where it comes from. I don't know, but it still doesn't make much sense. Just go from smallest to biggest. Why not? It's so easy and consistent. Europe. We refuse to work after 5 p.m. Global team. Okay, we respect your work-life boundaries. We will have the meeting at your 4 p.m. West Coast US. But that's our 7 a.m. We refuse to meet them. Global team. Tough. You need to be a team player. Why do Europe working hours always seem to take precedence over US working hours? If that is actually happening, it sounds like it is an international company that is still beholden to local labor laws, you know, and the local labor laws in one place are more favorable to the employees than in the other place. That is probably the simple explanation, to be honest. This reminds me so much of that post from someone who was like an American entrepreneur that wanted to hire IT personnel in Austria. And they were asking like, oh, the Austrian minimum wage is like $20 an hour or something. But is it okay since I'm American, I pay them like $9 an hour because I don't think they're worth that much. And it's like, you don't think you're beholden to the local labor laws just because you come from somewhere else? And also on top of that, like any sort of entry minimum wage locally would be more than what you're offering to pay them. Why would they work for you when they have like way better options literally everywhere? My god, man. The logic just isn't logicking, is it? Destroying toxic entrepreneurs with facts and logic. This can be the new like garbage compilations a la 2016 style. Oh my god. Europeans coming to the States realizing we have more types of accent than they do provinces.
Mind blown, pixelated, deep fried Squidward?
From the community notes of this tweet, according to Fluency Corp, the US has roughly 30 major dialects. According to EF Educational First, the UK has almost 40 dialects. The UK is half the size of Texas for comparison, meaning the US does not, in fact, have more dialects. Like Europe, that has like a crap ton of different languages alone. You think they wouldn't have like more types of accents and dialects or whatever as well? Well, this doesn't make any sense whatsoever. This is absolutely ridiculous.
POV, you spend 2 weeks in Europe and you're hopeful every day that you'll find a decent iced coffee, but it never happens. 4,000 likes.
Oh, 2,000 comments, man. I would like to see that comment section. That must be an absolute war zone about people fighting about coffee internationally. Oh, that is beautiful. I love it when people get into coffee arguments because it's one of those like petty things that I don't care about, but it's just funny to watch people go at it. Ah, gotta love it. I think there is something to that, right? There's something about like low stakes petty arguments that is just really entertaining to watch people go at it because it doesn't really matter and I don't give a crap, but it's just really funny to watch people get so worked up about something like that. I don't know. It just makes the petty part of my brain giggle.
I am a US citizen with a US passport. I would really like to get a European passport for dual citizenship. In order of percentage, I am English, Irish, Scottish, German, and Bohemian with some Czech thrown in. With England leaving the EU, it doesn't do me much good to have an English passport. I would like to travel freely in Europe and maybe move there. Anyone have any ideas of how I should pursue this? I've got my ancestry traced back to the 1400s. Look at this, European passport and citizenship.in.
250 comments. Woo! That's great. Okay. Here is how you do this. Here's how you get all the citizenships in Europe, easily peasily within a week. You take a screenshot of your result, where you sent your spit to and you got your DNA test or whatever, and you send that screenshot to all the embassies of the respective countries, and bada bing, bada boom, they'll give you passports, and all of a sudden you have like 15 passports and you can travel wherever you want. Trust me, that totally works. Passenger train lines in the USA versus Europe. I have seen this map. It is so bonkers to me, like the comparison. It is absolutely nuts.
Well, the map size is totally misleading. Texas is the combined size of all of the European map, lol.
Texas is 268,000 square miles, and Europe is 3 million square miles. You could fit Texas inside Europe 12 to 14 times. It most certainly is not lol. Texas has an area of around 700,000 square kilometers, and Europe has an area of around 10.5 million square kilometers. I know you're likely from the States, so I'll say it simply. 10.5 million is a lot bigger than 700k.
Oh, the burning. Dear non-Americans, go invent your own damn internet. Sincerely, America.
Can you imagine if this actually happens in the future? Reddit.America. Oh, this is funny. Oh, this is really funny. And also, if I remember correctly, wasn't the internet like developed in CERN or something like that? I mean, it was sort of like military from the beginning, I think. But anyway, this is very silly.
When you're 100% Italian, Sicilian in Italy, and the waiter starts speaking to you in Italian, since you can't explain in Italian, you just smile for a photo instead. What is this interaction? What on earth are you talking about? And the waiter was so excited to see someone with such a pure Italian heritage in a restaurant. So happy to be in the picture.
This is socially unhinged, isn't it? Like, you're at a restaurant abroad when you're traveling, and you just like bring a waiter over, and you're like, I'll let him speak in a language I don't speak because of some heritage test told me that I'm from some region or whatever, and then you just take like creep shot pictures of them trying to talk to you instead of just telling them like, can we speak something else? This is socially unhinged, isn't it? This is really weird. Imagine walking into a hospital with a broken leg and leaving with a $20,000 bill. Poor Americans.
Okay, racist. American isn't a race.
Online comments, man. They never cease to amaze. Existential question. If American is a race, do their claims of being Irish, Italian, Polish, German, Dutch, and etc. invalidate? Ooh! Oh, that is a good question. We should put this person, who is like, okay, racist, that comment, in the same room as one of the people with like the ancestry stuff, and just let him go ham. Let him go ham. I think both opinions are unhinged, but they're obviously like polar opposites, sort of. It would be so funny to just watch them go at it, right? Honestly, this would be an amazing idea for like a game show, like a debate show. You just pick people who are like completely just unhinged, but in different directions. I remember I had a similar discussion about some video about like alpha males or something like that. Like in one direction, you have people saying like, oh my god, it's a real alpha male. You should frick as many women as possible. And then in the other corner, you have the people who are like, if you frick too many women, the estrogen soaks up through your pee-pee and you become a beta. And both are like in this weird toxic masculine manosphere, but their opinions obviously don't align, and they're both unhinged in their own way, and just let those people go at it. Oh my, that would be so entertaining, man. It'd be so entertaining.
Are Spaniards seen as white in Europe?
What? Oh, everything isn't always so black and white. Haha, that's sort of a pun, isn't it? But I don't know. And also heritage or race or whatever doesn't always tie into nationality or whatever. I don't know, man. I think you're trying to squeeze people into like very tight boxes, and it's a little odd. Highway system in the US, $3.53 per gallon. Train system in the EU, always late, loud and expensive, no privacy. Train stations are cesspools. Yes. I want to on the EU trains. Let me make this Bojack meme post. Modern discourse, isn't it a beautiful thing?
These European bastards said, sorry, we don't tip, laughed, and walked out. Close the borders to Europeans now.
So here's an amount, $288, paid $288. Suggested tips, 20% is $53. Okay, this is one of those things that I always see very contentious discussions about online, and I think it's because depending on where you are in the world, tipping culture is vastly different. Like, tipping culture is not the same here where I live, for example, compared to the things I see from the US. Don't get me wrong, if I'm at a restaurant or something and, the service is nice and it's a pleasant place and the food is good, I'll tip, definitely. But I think like a 25% baseline tip that you tip no matter what, even if the service is kind of bad and the place is kind of meh or whatever, that is wild to me. That is absolutely wild. The tip here at least is considered something that you put on top of it. It's like, oh, they were really nice with the service, the restaurant is good, I want to like support the server and the business or whatever, then you add a tip to it. Or for example with delivery drivers, I usually add a tip to it because I know their pay isn't always great. So stuff like that. But the numbers are just bonkers. And of course in the US I know it's different because the hourly pay, for example, can be very garbage, and people count on the tip as part of their salary almost, which also is so backwards. Like the workers should be paid more decently from scratch. So I think it's one of those very contentious topics that depends so much on where you live and that sort of thing. But this sort of situation definitely is contentious, because I can also understand the frustration of the server, of course, because if their contract is like, oh yeah, the tip is kind of counted into it and we're counting on everyone to tip, and then it's like a big bill and there's no tip or something, like, yeah, I can see like the server is the one that actually gets screwed out of a bunch of payment at the end of the day. So this is one of those really contentious culture clash topics, and I wish that people just paid workers fairly everywhere. That would be amazing. And then of course tip on top of that if you have like a good service and you can afford it. Like I think that would be a good like utopian world.
Oh, fellow Americans, let me explain to you why Great Britain isn't so great after all, and I made a little graphic to explain exactly why. Here in the US we say fries, and in the Great Britain you say chips. What kind of word is that? In the Americas you say airplane, but in the Great Britain you say aeroplane. Ridiculous. It's called subway, not underground. Different opinions. It's felony. You see? Because we have freedom. And Great Britain does not have freedom. Hashtag freedom. Hey baby, from one to America, free are you tonight? Oh, you're Great Britain tonight, so you're not free at all. Oh, what a shame. I guess no date for us.
I just felt my brain melting a little bit. That was a surreal sensation. That thing is like 200 kilos. How the frick is he doing that?
See, this is why we like pounds. Kilos make everything seem a lot more than what it actually is. And Celsius makes the temperature seem less than what it really is.
What do you mean seem like? Pounds is literally like more. If you want to do 200 kilos in pounds, it's literally 440 pounds. What do you mean kilos make it seem more?
What? What are you talking?
And I think also for most things, to be honest, this is something I realized with currencies, for example, as well. Once you get used to it, once you get like a gut feeling or whatever you want to say for a certain measurement system, it feels a certain way. Like if someone says like, oh, it's 30 degrees Celsius outside, I know exactly what that means because I've grown up with Celsius my entire life. If someone says it's 50 degrees Fahrenheit outside, I don't fucking clue what that works. I need to translate it to a system that I'm used to and that I'm like literate in, so to say. So I don't know, some of it is definitely subjective, but this comment is weird, man. What the heck? Do Americans not hear how loud they are?
Why is Europe unable to experience joy?
We all experience joy. We just know how to be quiet while we do it.
Nope, because we have personalities. Look at that profile picture.
Oh, that's a lot of personality right there. Imagine part of that personality being respecting of other people's spaces. My personality is being loud. Oh my god, I feel kind of hit by that. Oh my god, my job is literally like half yelling memes into a microphone. Whoops.
We are louder, because as a baby our parents and environment were likely louder as it's a natural voice volume, but also get some headphones if it's such a bother.
Oh my god. I love these TikTok debates, man. It's so silly. All the hills that people build to die on. Man, I love it.
Question. Why isn't American football an Olympic sport? They don't have the bone mass to play in most countries. They play that soccer game because there is no real contact. They don't have bone mass to play in most... Oh, you're saying that every populations in different countries, that is in the US, have low bone mass, so they can't play American football. I guess you never heard of rugby or whatever, but okay. r/teenagers. I can prove Americans and better than British in one post. Okay, it's a bit of misspellings, and I guess is supposed to be r. I can recognize a fellow dyslexitive when I see one. USA. Late August until February, people are gonna be sitting outside football stadiums, drinking beer, grilling food, and having the time of their lives before going into the stadium for 4 hours of football and getting drunk. UK. Y'all gonna be sitting in a crappy soccer stadium where it's too foggy to see anything while eating beans on toast and watching a soccer game you can barely see. This seems a bit nitpicky though, but also depending on where you are in the US, the temperature and climate can kinda vary a lot. Who made this post, man? It's always foggy in the UK. Okay, maybe that's accurate though. Maybe that's like half gold star. I like beans though. Beans are tasty.
I have been in Europe 48 hours and I haven't seen anyone drink water.
Is this like a real trend? Do people spread this information now that there's no water in Europe, that people just drink olive oil and coffee?
Only coffee or alcohol.
Okay, at least now it's like, at least common beverages, not just chugging down olive oil.
How, bro? Seriously, how do you stay alive? I don't understand.
Do Americans not realize that saying Europe is like saying the Northern Hemisphere? There are some notable differences between, say, Nottinghamshire and Milan.
Europe ain't that big. Stay humble, king.
I have been to Asia, and oh my god, it's exactly like this. Okay, but that's very unspecific though, like Jesus Christ. Europe ain't that big. Ah, yes, I forgot that, you know, the cottage in the Swedish countryside during summer is the same as, like, Milan. Yeah, it's exactly the same because Europe is small. Hashtag facts and logic. First, then, Iraq, France. Oh, it's supposed to be first Iraq, then France. That is a weird thing to put on your car. That is a really, really weird thing to put on your car.
The German flag rule. Yes, indeed, girl. Yes.
Respect the American flag. Don't fly another flag at the same level. When displaying the American flag with another flag, the American flag is to fly higher than the other flag.
Ah, the confident ignorance. The US flag coat. Why can't I say this word? The US flag nailed it. 7G reads, when flags of two or more nations are displayed, they are to be flown from separate staffs of the same height. The flag should be of approximately equal size. International usage forbids the display of a flag of another nation above that of another nation in time of peace. And then there's another comment saying that fly the American flag higher thing. Some states require that the flag state be flown lower than the US flag when flown on a single pole. As a rule, that is not relevant to international flags at all because, contrary to popular American beliefs, other nations are not equivalent to US states. Ah, maybe that's where the confusion comes from. Maybe. Or they're just very silly. Or a bit of both.
Americans, we use anything but the metric system.
This plank is 242 dicks. Ah, the measurement system brought to you by the French Revolution, who guillotined many innocent people in the name of equality. I'll keep my foot-pounds of torque.
They just took this post 100% seriously.
I love my dick measurements for my planks. Sit down, Europeans. Oh, look at this fit, and I am a 1% African.
We're all African. If you go far enough up the family tree, there, racism fix on the pizza. Why is there a pizza gif? What? Yeah, there's another one of those like online heritage test vibes. Oh my god, I'm 1% this, so now that's my entire life. Oh, that's great.
I swear y'all in Europe don't have nothing. No ranch, no ice, no air conditioners, no freedom. Broke-ass country.
Europe. The broke-ass country without freedom and ice.
Who are these people? Is this real people? Oh my god.
R/Italian American. Could I call myself Italian American if I was born in the US and have Uruguayan heritage? Uruguay has a heavy influence from Italian culture, language, people, etc. Thoughts? What? Visiting Walmart for the first time as a Balkan.
The European mine?
I guess you mean mind.
Mine can't comprehend buying groceries for weeks or months in advance. Considering their breakfast consists of cigarettes and a chocolate bar, it's no real surprise.
14,000 likes. Europeans can't comprehend buying bulk groceries because they have cigarettes for breakfast. London, UK. All Americans must be accompanied by an adult. Someone had a couple of tourist Karens in their bar. Oh my.
Fine, lol, don't take my money, whatever.
The person who wrote this article seems to have more important problems than your money.
They are pissed we kicked them out of our country and kickstarted the collapse of their empire.
Okay.
Then sent an American actress to infiltrate their monarchy.
You realize this is just a sassy sign outside of a random pub or whatever, right? We expect all our servers to be giving a minimum of a 20% tip. Sincerely, management. Or you know, dear management, you can also just pay the workers decently. That would also be reasonable. Like, if there is a mandatory tip of 20%, then it isn't really a tip anymore. Then it's just like the actual price of everything. Everything in your restaurant is just 20% more expensive than what it says on the menu. That, to me, as someone who isn't in the US, is kind of weird. And I also understand the frustrations as people working in the server industry, right? Because if this kind of work accounts so much for tipping, then of course it sucks to be squeezed in the middle. But I just wish the management would actually pay the workers decently. That seems to be a good first step. And then as a customer, you can still tip on top of that if the service is good and if you like the place and all that kind of stuff. Like, of course, I think both can be true at the same time, but man, there shouldn't be a minimum tip of 20% expected. Then it seems like something in the bigger system is kind of broken. I don't know, man. This whole debate is so like contentious online. But if I went to the US and went to restaurants like this, I would definitely tip the 20% because I don't think it's fair to, you know, take it out on the server personnel from my side either. But I wish the management would do better, to be honest. Like, goddamn. Soccer is popular because it is a peasant sport. All you need is an open space and something round. I see every sport that's like easy to do on a base level is a peasant sport. I've seen it played in park lots with the ball of tape. I've seen kids in parking lots kicking trash. Peasant football. Makes sense it would be popular in countries that have nothing but open spaces and the occasional goat's bladder to inflate and play. What? America has money. Our poor people are richer than most people on the planet. Okay, that sentence is actually kind of true though, right? If you're just like getting by normally in any sort of Western country, you're basically in the 1% globally. That is absolutely insane. That is actually like the truth of how the world looks. But anyway, that's kind of a side point. The rest of the comment is unhinged. We can afford to play a real sport, not a peasant one. Peasant sport.
The problem with Italians is they think they are white.
These are those kind of comments where I'm like, I don't even know how to argue with this person because I don't know why anyone would ever like bother writing something like this. What? The problem with some Americans is so many of them seem to have an unhealthy obsession with skin color, bloodlines, and race. Yeah, that's a pretty good way of describing this comment, to be honest. That was a good one. Africa or Arizona or Asia? Africa or Arizona or Asia? The question asked was to name a country that starts and ends with A. Continent, state, continent. Great. Good job. 400 likes. You go, boy.
I just found something a lot of Europeans could start using this summer. Heart emojis is deodorant because Europeans are stinky. Own advice, not judging. It does not take even 2 seconds to put deodorant. Please do not smell like sweat and garlic.
Man, that was a stinky last post for this video, was it not? Man, there are a lot of stinky opinions in this. Thank you so much for watching, you wonderful, beautiful being, and I hope you learned something in this very educational journey we just had together. Isn't that wholesome and sweet? My God. And I hope you have a lot of freedom today because you do deserve it, and I will see you in the very next video. Take care. Mwah.